Hello, 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 and welcome back to the channel. So I decided to come before you again. Shalom to Brother Devon, one of our moderators. I decided to come before you again with another topic, and I'm going to call this another touchy subject because, again, some of our folk don't like you talking about certain things. They say you're causing division, Deborah. Deborah, why are you causing division? Why? So apparently, if you talk about things that matter, or if you talk about things that may hurt somebody's feelings, or if you talk about things that may seemingly appear to be divisive to some, then they say that you are causing division. Well, I'd like to say that we have a right, as I've said so many times, to discuss things that we feel may affect our lives. Especially since you have our people going in droves. They're going in droves. And we're hearing some people who are being very truthful with their experiences. But guess what, y'all? Some people are not coming forward with their experiences. I'm not going to say that they're not being truthful. I'm going to say that they're just not coming forward. A lot of people are embarrassed to talk about their experience of going to Africa. Now, I am not here to put down anyone for their decision. Likewise, I don't want to be put down for my decision of not going. But I will say this much. I want y'all to understand something. It would be an ideal situation. I'm going to invite some to join us live. So if you all can do that as well, I would appreciate it. It would be an ideal situation if we could be around each other. If we all could come together like that. You know what I'm saying? Because Africa is a huge continent. It is huge. And so wouldn't it be amazing if we could all gather together and live together as one in peace and harmony? But that is not happening. I'm going to be talking about the year of return and a number of different things about the so-called black community worldwide. The first thing that jumps out at everyone is the fact that even the continent of Africa is divided. And I'm not just talking about in terms of land mass and how it's being used and all of that. I'm talking about even the leaders. They are not together, working together cohesively. It is not happening. Even within African countries, the people are divided. All around the world, our people are divided. Here in the U.S., our people are divided. In households, our people are divided. Even in the womb, Jacob and Esau were divided. Ain't that something? In the womb, hadn't even seen the earth yet, hadn't set foot on the earth yet. Two brothers in the womb divided. There is definitely a spirit of division, and it needs to be talked about. So this year of return, my question is this, and you all feel free to drop your answers in the chat there. First of all, there's two questions here. Whatever happened to the year of return? Okay. The second question is, was it just a money grab? So the second question I'm actually going to ask you all, was it just a money grab? Those in the chat, what do you think? Was the year of return just a money grab? Share your thoughts. Teresa says yes. She says, in my opinion, money grab. Does anyone else think it was a money grab? Was the year of return a money grab? Victoria says, I think so. Yehuda says yes. Bonnie says yes. Nita says shalom, yes. Ray says, I think so. Sally says yes. Another one says indeed. Unapologetic says indeed. It's always a money grab. It's always about money. Okay, so a lot of people believe that it was money grab. Jewel says money grab. Yes. I believe it was, and I always have believed that. Now, during that time, I'm going to tell y'all right now, was a lot of people contending with us about that because we didn't have the same opinions. Now, I'm like this. You can have a different opinion with me. I'm okay with that. But some people, they made this thing personal. Y'all hear what I'm saying? I remember the various ones who were just, they go for the jugular on these things. And I say to myself, man, it ain't even that serious. I just don't happen to believe that the year of return was what the Bible was speaking of when it said that we were going to go back into our own land after 400 years. We disagreed on that, and a lot of people were just saying, well, the Bible says this, the Bible says that, right? I just didn't believe that was the 400-year prophecy expiring, because look, guess what, y'all? That was back in 2019. We are 4 years past that now. We are now 4 years past that. And you had people talking about we were going to be leaving here with great substance. Y'all remember that? So most of us are still here. A lot of people did go. But guess what? A lot of them that did go had to come right back. So that for sure was not the 400-year prophecy being fulfilled. It was not. We gave our position on that. We did full details on our other channel. And like I said, during that time, there was like a battling going forth. Of course, we were just bringing the word. Folk like to engage in battle with you. And like I said, they make it personal. We literally had people leave the ministry because we disagreed on that. I actually asked one sister. She unfriended me. She stopped following the channel. And I said, sister, is everything okay? And she said, well, Sister Deborah, we ain't believing the same thing. I said, so you're unfriending me, huh? Okay. And I told her, enjoy the rest of her day. Do what you feel you must do. Now, back then, I cared about that stuff. If someone wants to unfriend, stop following now, I'm like, hey, do whatever. If you feel your soul is at stake for staying a part of this ministry, then by all means, please exit the building. That's the way I feel now. But back then, I was really bothered because this sister was really, really, I thought we had a really good relationship. And she made it clear because of our differing of opinion on that she had to exit the building. Now, when I see people exit the building, I don't contact them and ask them what's going on, or I don't even do that anymore. I just say, okay, well, they feel like this is best for them. So be it. The year of return. But yet we're still here. That divine flight that the Bible talks about didn't take place in 2019. It didn't take place in 2020. It didn't take place in 2021, 2022. And here we are in 2023. So here's the thing. There's a reason why I wonder if it was a money grab. Okay? Because, again, some of those who actually did leave had to come back. Now, I want to say this because I do know some people. I know quite a few people who live in Ghana, who moved to Ghana. Much love and respect to you, family. Much love and respect to you. This is nothing against anyone who's made that choice. But we must keep it real on this channel. We must keep it real because that is required of us. And I feel like when you are sharing of information, just like some of you in the chat said, that we are simply sharing information. We cannot force anyone's hands on doing anything. We cannot make a person stay or go. A lot of people accuse me of discouraging people from moving to Africa, as if my channel was the only source of information they were getting. See, here's the thing. I've never personally been to Africa, but I've talked to people who have lived there, people who were born there, and other people who have been there who shared their testimonies. Not only that, I've seen things for myself. Here's the thing. If a person shares their testimony about what has happened to them, even they are attacked. I've seen people who have shared things that have happened to them while on the continent, and they were being demonized. That's why I said in an earlier broadcast, nobody, whether black, white, African, European, American, anything, nobody likes for you to talk about things. Because get this, y'all, and y'all know I got all kinds of love for my family in Detroit, right? But there were times where I've talked about my negative experiences on living in Detroit. And guess what? Guess what? I was accused of attacking Detroit. I said, oh my goodness, family, I'm not attacking Detroit. But I certainly have a right to talk about my experiences in Detroit. So it just seems to me that people in general just don't like you talking about things. Even if it's not them personally, they don't want you talking about their city. They don't want you talking about their state. Don't come on here talking about my country. Don't talk about my continent. None of it. Now, Sarah says that they are moving to Africa not because they think it's the gathering, but because they feel it's a better life is there for them. However, trust and believe the natives there will take advantage of you. So at least she knows that, right? And she has every right to. Now, I want to say this. Not every country in Africa is the same. I looked at one sister's channel and she has visited several countries in Africa, and she gave her take on all of them, right? She gave her take on all of them. She was talking about how people were hyping up Rwanda. And even our son was saying that he hears that Rwanda is a good choice for African Americans right now. But the woman who visited Rwanda, she actually said that she's not comfortable. She wouldn't be comfortable living there. She said that the people still have not gotten over the trauma of what happened to them in Rwanda. So is she allowed to say that? Is she allowed to say that? Now, I want to say this to Saraya Shebrew. My husband and I both said that we would definitely consider moving to Africa. And we're not sure what country yet. We would want to do a lot of research on that. But we would do it. We would want to make sure that we had all of our ducks in a row. I'll just put it to you that way, so that we could get connected with the right people in the right country and doing the right things, and make sure that we do all of our due diligence. We did say that we would be interested, or we would consider that. But we would have to move under the authority of the Most High. If he doesn't tell us to go, we ain't going nowhere. We don't want to go out of anything other than his divine will or his divine calling. Now, to the person that says America is falling, yes, it is. But the whole world is in free fall. The whole world. Letitia says we cannot paint all with a brush. Counties, exactly, family. Yeah, every country in Africa is not the same. They are not the same. Brother Jeremiah says the connection with someone who's living there is very important. And I agree with that. If you're going to take off and go to Africa, I do believe that local connection is the best for you. And of course, I do believe that going to the right country is the best. That's right, to the Most High's house of prayer. The whole world is free falling. It's not just the U.S., it's not just European nations, but all over the planet. Any place that has turned against the Most High is all going to be judged. The Most High is going to save a remnant out of every nation. That's the way we got to look at this thing. Now, as far as the year of return, I just feel that a lot of hype was given around that. I do believe a lot of money was spent and a lot of money was collected, right? And then I remember the Wakanda hype as well. Okay. The Wakanda hype was one of those things. I'm sorry, I was reading some of you all's comments there. But with that Wakanda hype, a lot of our people were being lulled to Africa. The former leader of the African Union, she had a lot of people just very excited, sharing her videos. And at one turn, we even allowed our own selves to be insulted as African Americans. And it went over a lot of people's heads. But Dr. Africana, when she made the statement that some of the African American young people or college students were talking about not being selected or chosen, and they chose African students over them. And she says, why complain about that as long as some black people were chosen? She didn't say black people, but she says, be happy for them, even if you were not chosen. Right? And so, even though we were looked over, she's saying, be happy. No, I agree with that. We should be happy for one another. Okay? We should be. But then when she went on to say that of those that they would choose for Wakanda, she says they are going to choose the best of the best. Now, those of you who have been following this channel for some time, you remember I talked about that. And I said the best of the best, huh? So who determines who's the best of the best? Who determines that? Who makes the determination of who is the best of the best? So she's saying when they choose or when they get people from America, black people from America, that they're going to choose the best of the best. And so when they were asking everybody to send $120 a year, which was $10 a month, so that they can build Wakanda and that they would be calling for the best of the best, I said the majority of the people who are going to send that $10 a month wouldn't be chosen as the best of the best. They're going to have millions sending the $10 a month. Millions, right? But of those millions sent, the majority of those people wouldn't even be given a second thought because they only want the best of the best. But they were not asking for the best of the best to send money. They were not saying we only want the best of the best to send money. They wanted everybody to send money. Y'all remember that? Everybody send money, but of those who send the money, we only want the best of the best to come here. So that went over a lot of people's head. And I remember I contended with some people about that too, or should I say they contended with me, saying that I'm causing division, that we should be helping Africa. Now, I think about what some others have said. Some others saying, now I don't agree with this either. Some said Africa should be helping us since we were the ones sent into slavery. I don't agree with that because how can they help us when they can't help their own citizens? I feel like these African leaders should be helping their own citizens. But I get the point that they were trying to make. I get the point 100%. It kind of reminds me of this, and I'm going to just use this example. Okay, this is a personal example. Okay. Sister Sarah Yah says it is her and her husband's experience that African Americans are looked at as money pots. And that's what one sister said. She said she married a Ghanaian man, and she said her husband and his family look at her as money pots. She says they want her to do everything, and she was tired of it. She was cussing up a storm, like I mentioned in an earlier video. This woman, she has her video on YouTube, and she's talking about her husband, who's Ghanaian, and his family, and other people in the community, how they just want to use her. And she was tired of it, and she didn't like it. And she has a right to feel that way. She has a right to feel that way. And so this whole thing, I feel like people need to understand and be led by the Ruach HaKodesh before they make moves. Before you make moves, you have got to be led by the Ruach HaKodesh. This year of return money grab caused a lot of division because people don't like you saying anything about these things. They feel attacked or that you are attacking. It didn't line up with biblical prophecy. There was so much more, and we brought this out, and a lot of people tried to, oh my goodness. I don't even want to get off into all of the different going backs and forth that people were having. I mean, people were really upset because we didn't agree that the 2019 year of return represented biblical prophecy of fulfilling the 400-year prophecy. We brought out how so many things had to take place before we are going to be returned to our land. The Most High says he's going to gather. He didn't say this is only for those who can afford a plane ticket. What's divine about that if you can't afford the plane ticket? Nowhere in scripture did it say those who save up their money to make the move back to Africa are going to be the ones to be gathered. The Most High made it very clear and very plain that this was going to be something that was going to be a divine event, a very spiritual event. Now, Abinaya made a good point. She said she don't think that the Ghanaians saw the year of return as fulfilling prophecy. That's right, they did not. It was the African Americans. Those are the ones I'm referring to. Those are the ones I'm referring to. It was our people over here, namely the so-called Hebrew Israelites. Many of them were saying that this was the fulfillment of the 400-year prophecy. And there was a lot of contention going back and forth. There was a lot of misunderstanding about scripture. People were even trying to say, and Jeremiah said that he was going to put us back in the place that we were before. So one sister was, that was one of her reasons for exiting the building on the ministry, when she said that put us back where we were before was referring to us going back to Ghana at the end of the 400 years. And I kept trying to explain to everyone, and I want you all to hear this. If you understand biblical prophecy, this is why we talk about it so much. Biblical prophecy gives you almost a timeline of what's going to take place, what has to take place before we even set foot back into the promised land. And I was trying to explain, look, family, a lot of this stuff haven't even taken place yet. You cannot omit these things. The scripture says this has to happen first. That has to happen first. That has to happen first. And nowhere in the book did it say you got to save up all your money first. Thank you, all praise to Yah. That was one of the points we made too about the two witnesses. I said so much has to take place first. And nowhere in the book does it say that Ghana is the promised land. That again, thank you, Mugosat 999 in the chat. It doesn't say that Ghana was the promised land, but that was kind of interpreted that way by someone who said the scripture in Jeremiah was referring to us going back to a land out of it. That was talking about a whole different captivity, going back to the land that we were first in before the captivity. That was a total different captivity. You know, our people have been in so many captivities, and everyone wants to line it all up with this one right here. Abinia, thanks for this too. Ghanaians know that they don't even originate from Ghana. They know that they come from the promised land as well. So these are very, very important points to understand. So for African Americans to believe that we are supposed to return to Ghana, when Ghana, the people of Ghana know that that's not their original land too. Come on now. And all thy getting, get understanding. And all thy getting, get understanding. We can't just go off of feelings. Now, I understand everybody who wanted the year of return to be this amazing event where all of us went back there. But, you know, again, we tried to point out that everyone wasn't going back. What about the old senior citizens here in the U.S. who are on a fixed income, who can't even afford to get a ride across town? How are they going to get to Africa? The other thing was this. Once you get to Africa, once you get there, where are you going to live? You can't just be dumped off on some land or go someplace and think your life is going to be set up for you. They can't afford to help the people that live there. How can they afford to help us set up our lives? And you can't go there. One young lady, I felt really bad for her. She went there with her. She was a single mom. She went there with her young children. She didn't have a whole lot of money saved up. And the way she put the testimony, she was talking about how it was when she first got there, but we haven't heard from her since. I would like to know or have an update. But she was a single mom and she didn't have a whole lot of money, but she said she was tired of America, so she went there. And she said, in video, this was some years ago, y'all. She said now all she needs to do is find a job. All I can say is bless her heart. But you can't go to Africa looking for a job. If it wasn't already set up for you, you don't go over there looking for jobs. You don't go over there looking for any type of social benefits. You don't go over there. You can't go to Africa like that. You have to go over there prepared to live. I'm just keeping it real. And I know for some of you, you may think that this is harsh on the ears, but you can't go over there with that mentality because the people over there are struggling. So what makes you think that you can go to Africa and take a job from an African who may need that job? Our sister Sarah says you can't even move to South Africa unless you can prove that you have a guaranteed income of $2,400. And I'm guessing that's monthly. Yes, and she confirmed it. $2,400 a month. Now I can imagine that kind of money would get you a long way in or on the continent of Africa. But those who have the wrong mindset, and also another point I wanted to make was this. There are a lot of people visiting Africa. They visit Africa and they come back with a good report. They come back with a good report. But you have to understand, many have said that living in Africa is different from visiting Africa. Did y'all hear what I said? Visiting Africa is different than living in Africa. There's quite a difference. quite a difference. Now, there have been, someone asked a question and they said, didn't South Africa say we weren't welcome? Now, there's no telling who said that. Now, if the officials didn't say that, okay, then it can be just taken for what it is. But there are those who have said that, individuals who have said we are not welcome. They said they don't need us, they don't want our money, this, that, and the third. Okay. But again, that small group of people cannot represent everyone. But it's good to know and understand that there are some who have that mindset. Brother Cecil says he works with a Ghanaian, and they don't really like Caribbean people either. And and he says the remarks are that we are the ones that have the chains put around our neck, and that day one I blow the trumpet on her. I was mad with her. Okay, so they're trying to say that even those in the Caribbean are viewed as less than by some Africans. Again, we can't say or speak for everyone. Not everyone thinks the same. Those I've been in contact with, my husband have been in contact with, or those who have been in contact with our ministry, don't sound that way. They don't talk that way, and they are not that way. So my thing is this: you have people all over this planet who are a certain way, and you cannot spray that across the board and say that it's everyone. Sister Sarah says there are those that love us and those that resent us. Just like here. It's the same. Exactly. Here you have those who love us and those who resent us. That's just the way it is. Janelle says many Black Americans have moved to the continent and are successful. So again, to Janelle, I wanted to make one point here that every African country is different. Okay, there are some that I've seen where people have amazing lives. Okay, a young, well, she's my age now, but a sister that I grew up with, she and her husband, I mentioned this earlier, she and her husband, they moved to Tanzania for a while. And she said it was wonderful. They lived there. They went there on, I guess it was church business. Okay, but they stayed there for a while, and she said the experience was great. Someone in the chat says they generally struggle with tribalism. It's not only against African diaspora, it's actually worse amongst Africans. And so I've also heard that as well. This is why I pointed out that of all of the African countries on the continent of Africa, that there seems to be a great divide even among the countries on the continent. There seems to be a great divide. So I can understand that it's not just because the xenophobia that they experienced in South Africa. I don't know if you all heard of what happened in Durban, South Africa, where xenophobia had taken over so badly to where they were actually slaying or killing those who had started businesses. That was one of our first choices when we were thinking of moving to Africa, was South Africa. Because of the Blacks Without Borders series that we saw. When you all get a chance, I think it may still be here on YouTube, but it's Blacks Without Borders. Okay? And so when we looked at what was going on there, they weren't just killing American blacks, but even if you came from another African country and you started a business in South Africa, it was happening to them too. They were sharing the stories of the various ones whose lives were being taken out of pure jealousy. And that was very disheartening to hear. Pure jealousy. So even if you came from another African country, If you were someone coming from Nigeria to South Africa or Congo to South Africa, it didn't matter. That's truly sad that our people think that way. Hold for one moment, family. I'll be right back in one moment. Okay, so family, I am just about to wrap things up here. I wanted to go in on this topic again because, hold on one second, I'm going to read the sister's comment here. Sister Sarah Yah says that it was only those of other African countries that they were taking out, not those of the U.S. For me, either way, that's a bit rough to me, to do that to your own people, whether they're from the diaspora or other African countries. That's a bit rough to me. One sister did make a point. She went to Morocco. Her video is here on the U.S. as well. She traveled to several African countries, and she was making the comparison of them and her experience in each country. She said in Morocco they treated her like royalty, coming from America, but they treated the Africans like trash. Did y'all hear what I just said? And that sister said that was a complete turn off to her, that they would treat her as a black African American like royalty in Morocco, but Africans were treated like trash. And for me, I wouldn't like that either. That would make me feel uncomfortable as well. So what happens if you've been there for a while and you're no longer new and you're no longer seen as a money spending tourist? Will that treatment change? Will they change the way they treat you after you've been there for a while? And so there is so much to consider. I think about a line from one of Stevie Wonder's songs. He says, Yah knew exactly where he wanted you to be placed. Malka Bot says, hallelujah and Shabbat Shalom. She said, it boggles my mind why anyone would think about moving to South Africa after living in America. That place is Little America, and she hated Morocco. So there's another person giving their experience on the continent. And so there are different. Malcolm also says Morocco was really racist toward her traveling group. And I can believe that. I can certainly believe it because they call them quote unquote Middle Easterners when really we know that they are just a whited out version of African people. Now, Susie TV, she says, have you seen the progress of the Pan-African Asubu village in Ghana? She says the government has provided legitimate land to African Americans rather than shady land from some nobody. So that is something, I guess, that needs to be considered as well. How you get the land, and many have said that has a great deal to do with things. How you get the land. I do remember the two sisters. I mean, well, they weren't sisters. They when I say sisters, I'm talking about black women. But I do remember the mother and daughter that went to Ghana and lost their lives. That story was said to be because of, I hate to say it, but xenophobia, jealousy. And then some have said it was because of a dispute over land. But when you look at the fact that the mother was a senior and her daughter was, middle-aged, my thing is this: why did you have to take their lives? Why did you have to take their lives? Share Girl 100 says that she told y'all a long time ago the year of return was for the loot. They were cashing in on our end of the 400 years. And so that's how I've always felt as well. I felt that there was the money grab. I felt that was a money grab, and a lot of people fell for it. They went there, spent their money. There was talk about the trips costing more than $12,000 just to get there. And, if you had the money to go, that's fine if you want to do that. But when you think about the money collected from everybody, and then African Americans and the diaspora were so excited, not just African Americans, there were other Africans in the diaspora who were excited as well. The UK and other regions, they went. Everybody enjoyed themselves. A lot of celebrities went, but it didn't turn out like people were preaching. You had people who were preaching about this. Now, some people really saw it as an opportunity to reconnect with the land after 400 years. Okay, year of return. But I just thought the branding, the name of the year of return on 2019, I felt like that was a ploy for those who believed in the 400-year prophecy. Because why would you call it that? Because it lines up with the biblical prophecy of the 400 years. That's why I feel that term was used to get in people's heads and to get in their pockets. You say 400 years and boom, a lot of people fell for it. Jewel says $2 billion was made. $2 billion. That's a lot of money. That was a money grab. And trust and believe that those who went to live there after the fact, trust and believe that they had to pay to go. I heard that there was different things or channels you had to go through to actually get land. Of course, with everything there is a process. But I would need to hear from the Most High. I can't just have someone calling me. I would need the Most High to send me. Because if he goes, he's going to send you to the right people. You're going to live among the right people. And things are going to be done the way that they should be done. And get this, y'all. Because after the first video I did earlier today, there's still people in the comment section who feels like I am attacking Africa. I think as those who are in the diaspora, we do have a right to know what we're getting into, know what we're dealing with. I think we do have a right to ask questions. And to suggest that asking questions is causing division, I would say to you, what do you have to hide? Or what are you trying to cover up that you think I shouldn't be able to ask questions? Or put information out there that has been shared by others who have been there. This is not a personal attack on anyone who lives on the continent, anyone born on the continent. It's not. Or if you choose to go, it's not a personal attack. Just like I said about my people in Detroit, who whenever I talk about how things were when I lived in Detroit, how rough it was, Come on now. I am not attacking Detroit because I'm talking about my experiences or someone else's experience. Abinaya says acquiring land is very complicated in Ghana. She says the chiefs are the caretakers of the land, so most land is leased. Hmm. I don't think I would want to go and build a house. I just couldn't. I wouldn't feel comfortable building a house on land that I don't own. Going to another continent, another country, and building a house. That's a big deal, especially with what we saw in this video with them coming with bulldozers. Like so many have said that there's more to the story. Of course, there has to be more to the story. It absolutely has to be. But what we did see was bulldozers knocking down some perfectly good houses. There's got to be something else. I mean, I'm trying to make sense of that. I'm trying to make sense of why perfectly good houses were being torn down, or perfectly good structures. The brother from Going Black to Africa, he says he's going to be interviewing someone who had a stake in that. So let us stay tuned for more details. I am definitely interested in more details on what happened over there in Ghana with the property being torn down. I want to hear more about that. I want to get more of the details, some more of the backstory, some more of the front story. What's going on? Inquiring minds want to know. Someone says, whatever feels right in your heart. I just hope Africans around the world will unite wherever they are, break free, and destroy white supremacy. And so I say this. We can't always go according to what feels right in our own hearts, because the Bible actually speaks against that. I know what you mean when you say that, but it actually says every man did what was right in his own heart. You know, when I hear that kind of statement, I have to say something. I have to chime in and say that there's another way that we can say it, get the point across. I get what you mean when you say it. You just want us to unite, okay? And, you know, so for me, uniting means that we have to be on one accord with the Spirit of the Most High. That's what uniting means for me. But I totally get what you were trying to say there. Totally get it. Okay. So I am going to call it quits on this story now, guys. I have some things I need to get off into. Just wanted to sit down and have another little quick chat with you before I got off into what I need to do. I love you all. I thank you for your time. Even those of us who disagree on whether we should be going to Africa or staying here. Hey, I just say be led of the Most High Yah. I still love you. And I thank you all for joining me. Those of you who missed the live and you catch this after the fact, chop it up in the comment section. As always, keep it tight and keep it right. But until next time, I'm out.